are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
And now it shall be time that we begin. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and fellow people out there. Welcome to AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And before we do go and start things off, hold on, I just need to go and there we go. Just need to slightly adjust that. Alright, so the big thing about this episode, or what has happened during this week, let's not go around this, let's get straight to the point. We all know that it's been very dry when it comes to animation news this week. Like, we barely got anything happening. Like, you could debatably say that there wasn't much animation news that really is worth talking about, or a lot that did come out. I mean, technically, yes, some people could say that this week was the announcement of the cast for Guillermo del Toro's stop-motion Pinocchio movie that's going to be coming out on Netflix, but then again, it's just the cast that's been revealed, and that's pretty much it. Yes, we're getting familiar names like Ewan McGregor, Ron Perlman, Cate Blanchett, I believe, and many more, but really, other than that list itself, there really isn't much worth talking about. So, this is why I would like to go and tell you all that this is going to be a shorter episode than usual. Instead of the usual 5 stories, I only got 4, half of which is going to be looking at some trailers. And I'll admit, half of it doesn't even include animation. It's kind of like a bonus miscellaneous, but don't worry, this is still going to be a fun episode. We still got some crazy stories to cover, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun with this. So, with all that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, are you all ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you all ready for this one? Yes, and I do see that some people are mentioning that even right now, as I am recording this actually, we do have the DC Fandom in which they're making a lot of announcements right now regarding the upcoming major DC stuff, including, I think, just not long ago, they put out the trailer for Wonder Woman 1984, I believe. There is that. But anyways, it looks like, oh, hold on a sec, I just need to go on, block someone here. It looks like we do have a troll. There we go. Okay. There we are. Alright, so now, with that said, I think we are all ready. That is beautiful. So now let's go ahead and get this one started. And with our first story that I have for you today. Now, we're going to begin with a bonus miscellaneous. This is not necessarily animation, but you could say this is the biggest animation news of the week. Mainly because of the fact that, holy crap, did it burst into controversy. Where just putting out a little poster and putting out a little bit of a description alone got enough people to go and get completely heated up and to go nuts over this. So, with that said, I'm pretty sure that many of you have not even seen this movie, but you have definitely heard about it, and what I'm going to be talking about will be regarding Cuties. Yes, this is going to be the upcoming Netflix movie in which already it has stirred up some massive controversy. Now, some of you might be wondering, what is Cuties about? What even is this movie? Well, recently, Netflix decided that, considering that they have recently picked this movie up directly from Skydance, it's about time that they're gonna go and actually put it out to the public to show everyone what this movie is all about instead of just showing it onto festivals. And they did put out some of their promotional material, and it did not go well. In fact, I actually have this picture here in which it actually has the, it's pretty much like the overview, if you would go and find Cuties on Netflix, which it states that it is coming to Netflix on September 9th. And the little description that they would have, it states, Amy, 11, becomes fascinated with a twerking dance crew. Hoping to join them, she starts to explore her femininity, defying her family traditions. So basically, just in that little description alone, it's about an 11-year-old girl that wants to defy her family's traditions and join a twerking dance crew. Actually putting that into the description that it is indeed a twerking dance crew. But if that wasn't enough, some people might think, okay, maybe it's not what it seems. Maybe it's just bad wording on the description here. Oh no, that's not really the case. Because then you would have the poster that they decided to go and release. And this, oh boy. Oh my god, I already see someone actually wrote down on the chat wall. It's like someone saying, it's like Harvey Weinstein's looking at this going, finally, a foreign film made for me. Oh my god, already the dark jokes have begun. But oh man, if you think that is bad, wait till you look at the poster. Yes, folks, what you see here is exactly the poster that Netflix has created for the movie called Cuties. And for those of you who are only listening to this, what we see here is quite a sight to behold, I gotta say. And not a pretty sight either. It's basically what the description says. It's 11-year-old girls twerking in various suggestive poses. We got one girl with glasses that's on the left of the poster, obviously just pushing out her butt, just showing it to the world. And then we got the one girl in the bottom right that's kind of doing the same thing. And we even got one girl that's front and center, well, not really in the center, more on the left, where she's kind of doing the exact same pose as Nicki Minaj did for the Anaconda cover, or at least it's kind of in a similar way. And by the way, thank you very much, Daniel Vasquez, for the subscription. And yeah, all this is completely wrong. And may I add, by the way, if there not many people would mention this, but there is also one other element that I have to find really does make things worse, and it's the title. Really think about it, guys. This is called Cuties. This is a movie that features 11-year-old twerking girls, and it's called Cuties. Now, if you find someone who would actually look at 11-year-old girls over-sexualized and twerking, and he would call them cuties, then at that point, the only correct answer that you should respond with is call the police. It doesn't matter what it is. You might not know the person, but still, just to be safe, just call the police. Because no one should look at 11-year-old girls twerking and call them cuties. It's just, there's so much wrong with this right now. And of course, as you can imagine, this has caused some serious backlash. So much so that there even is a petition in change.org demanding Netflix to take down this movie. So not only is there so much anger and backlash, but there even is a petition. And usually I'm not a fan of mentioning stuff like change.org because usually they don't often work. But this one, however, has gathered a lot of attention because this is the kind of petition that has asked for 300,000 signatures. And as I am recording this right now, it has gathered, hold on, let me go and refresh this. It has managed to collect a grand total, as I am recording this right now, 243,000 signatures and counting. It's still going up bit by bit. And even on the change.org petition, their reasoning for why they want to take down Cuties is mainly because it says here, written by the person who created the petition, Allison Mitchell, the movie/show is disgusting as it sexualizes an 11-year-old for viewing pleasure of pedophiles and also negatively influences our children. There is no need for this kind of content in that age group, especially when sex trafficking and pedophilia are so rampant. There is no excuse. This is dangerous content. So basically, this is where we are now. And I think it is safe to say that, holy crap, what the fridge was Netflix thinking about this? About not just the poster itself, but even the description, but more especially the poster, actually. How is there anyone in the marketing team, how is it that they looked at this and thought, yeah, this is alright, this is a good idea? Like, okay, maybe I get the mentality of like, oh, people will understand when they go see this movie, but the thing is, we're at the point where people have not yet. You're not going to be putting this out until September 9th. So as a result, people can only make assumptions now about what any of this means, and looking at it, it's that, yeah, I can understand why people are angry and why they would have this kind of suspicion about this movie, because holy crap, this is... like, what are you doing, man? Like, what? Like, that's all this is presenting. Like, all you are presenting right now is just a bunch of 11-year-old girls in very sexualized positions. And on top of that, you would also have a description literally stating that it's about an 11-year-old girl that wants to join a twerking group. And that's really the thing that people are emphasizing. This is a movie that features 11-year-old twerking girls. That's it. Like, what the fridge are you thinking? Like, did you hire John Kay to be the marketing executive in this? Like, was it all his idea in order to present all this? Like, to really, like why is it that twerking 11-year-old girls be the big thing you want to go and emphasize as the core marketing of this movie in general? Now, technically, I can understand some people could go and state, there are some people who would go and state that maybe this is the marketing strategy, that maybe they want to go and actually create some faux outrage, that they purposely tried to do this in order to get some controversy and in order to get more attention for this movie, which I guess in a way you could say that does kind of work, because even I'm talking about this right now, and the fact that Cuties has gone massively viral on social media, there could be an argument for that. That is true, but it doesn't change the fact that this is morally wrong, and especially morally messed up. It's like, really, are you sure you really want to go through this PR hell over this? Like, is it worth crippling your public relations just for the sake of promoting this this international feature film? I don't know. I feel like there are more problems than there are some benefits, and maybe, like, honestly, I'm going to give Netflix the benefit of the doubt. I don't think they really did this on purpose. I think really it is the case that they just decided to go with a different approach in terms of the marketing, and it just really went terrible. However, with that said, though, there is one problem with the backlash. There is one flaw when it comes to all the anger, when it comes to all the hate for this movie. Like, even though, like, a lot of it is pretty reasonable, like, it is kind of understandable why people are angry, there is one massive issue regarding the hatred all for Cuties. And do you know what it is? I would like to go into the chat wall right now. I would like to ask you all, what is the one problem with people getting mad over Cuties? Can you tell me what it is? Can people say what it is? I want to know. Some people, I see one person saying, is it the rating? No, it's not. It's not the rating at all. It's not it. Are there any people? Come on. Let's see. Up! Ding, ding, ding. Oh, let's see. Misleading advertising, hypocrisy, the marketing, Netflix, it's too sexual. No. One person got it right. It's King Cerulean that got it right. We got the answer. No one has seen the movie. Someone brought up John Lasseter. No, it ain't. John Lasseter is not that bad. He's like, honestly, yeah, like, he's done a lot of hugs and kisses, but there is never really a case where, like, he's gone like that level of, like, going after underage girls. So I just want to go and be a bit of a devil's advocate on that. But yeah, that's the thing. It's that no one has legitimately seen the movie, or at least the public in general has never seen it. Technically, there have been a few amount of people that did go and actually see the feature film. Like I said before, it did premiere earlier this year at the Sundance Film Festival. That is where Netflix actually picked this movie up. In fact, if I may go into this article from The Guardian, just to read the first paragraph, it actually states here, yesterday Netflix released promotional artwork and a trailer for a new film called Cuties, or as it is called in French, or the original title, Mignonne. It is the feature-length debut of Maïmouna Doucouré, a young filmmaker whose short film Mamas won a César Award in 2017. The same year, her screenplay for Cuties won Sundance's Global Filmmaking Award, allowing her to develop the movie, which would go on to win the Directing Jury Award at this year's Sundance and get snapped up by Netflix. It's fair to say, then, that the film was set to land on a platform with a good deal of advance hype. So it was a Sundance darling. It was from a young rising filmmaker, actually, who decided that she wanted, and apparently there are actual reports in which Doucouré herself actually stated that this is based on her personal experience in her childhood. It's almost semi-autobiographical in a way, where she would go and discuss about her experience as an immigrant in France growing up in this hyper-sexualized culture. And on top of that, like regarding the over-sexualized aspect, yes, there are some aspects in there, but it's mainly because it is to make a commentary for it. In fact, what's funny to note, actually, is that, as this article states, there is a trailer that did also came out, actually. And you know what? Let's try to go and be ahead of the curve of all this, because I know that a lot of people who are upset and who are angry about the Cuties thing is mainly because of like the little description that Netflix put out, and because of the poster. So why don't we go and take a step ahead and actually check out this trailer. I actually got it right over here. And by the way, it is important to note also regarding, just want to, hold on, sorry a sec. Oh, actually, I almost forgot to do something. There we go. All right, now you'll be able to hear this. But I just want to go and point out regarding the likes and dislikes bar, because that is also something that is worth noting, and how that also plays a factor into the outrage and into the controversy, because right now on the Netflix channel where it has the trailer for Cuties, it currently has 21,000 likes. And the amount of dislikes? 700,000! Like, holy crap, I don't even know if the Emoji Movie and Cats got that much hatred. Like, it has gone viral, and it has gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But, with that said, let's see if we can go and try to keep an open mind on this, and actually check out the trailer for Cuties. Let's see what it actually has to offer, and if it really is the case. If it is like how Netflix is disgustingly describing it.
Mais qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Il se passe quoi là? Vous dites quoi la guerre?
On va danser au concours.
Je danse avec vous. Quoi?
Oh mais les gens t'ont grave kiffé, tu vois tous les likes qu'on a eu.
Vous savez où passe l'esprit du mal? Ce sont ces femmes dénudées.
Pour le mariage de ton père. Regarde comme elle te va. Tu es une femme maintenant.
T'étais où là? T'as foutu quoi? J'étais en retard. En retard? Je suis désolée. Me dis pas... Non, tu l'as volé? Oh la teugla, j'y crois pas!
À quoi tu joues là, ami?
Qui es-tu, ami?
Laisse couler l'eau, ma chérie. Les péchés s'effacent avec.
Vous avez quel âge?
14.
So that was the trailer right over here, and I'm gonna be honest, watching this, it doesn't necessarily seem as bad as the outrage is kind of portraying it. I mean, technically there are those elements that people are saying that there are in there, but I feel like according to this trailer, from what it is presenting us, it does seem more like it really focuses on this one girl, which in this case is Amy, and pretty much her struggles of living both as a Muslim immigrant and trying to fit into her new environment, joining a group of rebellious girls, and see, and like I said, like, see if she could try to fit in, and like you see like the different contrast of different lifestyles. And on top of that, like, one important note to actually mention is that the way that they are portraying both of these lifestyles is that it's not black and white. Like, you would think from that description that you would think that the good guys are the rebellious twerking 11-year-old girls and that the bad guys are the family traditions, but this is not the case. They actually do they actually do show, at least in the trailer alone, that there are some ups and downs on both sides, in which you see the conflict that the main character actually has, both in terms of living with her family and staying within her traditions, and seeing her inner rebellious side actually want to get unleashed by joining these girls and stuff like that. And you can actually see, like, even with the rebellious side, that there is a dark side to it as well that does lead her to do some pretty bad things, including stealing some money from her mother and also from her family. So, as I said, this is not something that does portray this whole situation as black and white, and you could tell that there probably is some commentary. Now, keep in mind, this is just from the trailer alone. I haven't actually seen the movie myself, but from what I've seen, it does present that there seems to be a bit more layers to it. But then again, with that said, it's kind of fascinating that even with that, there are still a lot of people that are just completely outraged about this movie in general. That you see, like, not only the 700,000 dislikes that it collected, but even in the comments that you see so many, like, just ready to go and hate it, like leaving out nasty comments, accusing Netflix of promoting pedophilia and all that stuff. It's just, you could see the amount of people that are already putting a massive amount of hate on it. But again, this is all coming from the fact that people have not seen it. Like, I can guarantee you there are very few people out there who are against this movie that have legitimately seen the feature. They think that because of the poster, because of the little description on Netflix, and maybe even with this trailer alone, and that is kind of optional, because I highly doubt there are even that much people who went and seen it, because let's be honest, with the kind of culture that we are on social media, like, you know that there are many people out there that they just want to give it a dislike in order to go and jump on the bandwagon. I doubt, like, many of these people have even seen this trailer alone. Like, there's even one comment that actually does emphasize this, where one guy actually literally says, "Me and the boys on our way to dislike this." So it's mostly kind of a trend, like people jumping on the hate train to go and hate this movie without actually knowing what the facts are. And there are some people out there who have seen it and are currently defending this feature. And probably the most prominent example would have to be Tessa Thompson. In fact, reading more into my article here that I found on The Guardian, Tessa Thompson actually says, "Cuties is a beautiful film. It gutted me at Sundance. It introduced a fresh voice at the helm. She's a Senegalese black woman mining her experiences. The film comments on the hypersexualization of pre-adolescent girls. Disappointed to see the current discourse. And honestly, what we are seeing right now with this is that this really does stem from a massive problem with reaction culture. That this really is something that social media in general and the internet has pretty much geared our minds where we have to go and react first instead of thinking of what it actually is. You know, act first, think second, or act first, think later. And that's why we do see people that they want to go and immediately be the first to go and put out a big statement in order to go and like actually be on top and to go and follow the crowd. Because like if you are first, then that would also mean that you're the first and you're like the first prominent example of all this in order to get a huge amount of likes and a huge amount of fame. It really is just the reaction. People don't want to think about like, oh, how this movie is. Like people don't want to have a wait and see kind of attitude. Like that's what reaction culture is kind of discouraging people. Like they don't want to have patience. They don't want to wait and see how things actually are. People want to come up with conclusions now. People want to react now. And they want to take the information that they have in order to judge something immediately if it actually is guilty or innocent. And right now, people are heavily leaning to guilty because they only have very little materials. They've never been to Sundance. They've never seen the movie themselves. So that's why they could only go with just the poster, with the description, and maybe with the trailer. And apparently that is enough for them to go and heavily demand to go and completely take down this this whole thing, for this whole movie in general from Netflix. People, like, trust me, people really do believe that that's all they, like, just a few words is all they need to explain everything about this movie without even actually seeing it. And I mean, the movie itself would be like, what, like an hour and a half or maybe even 2 hours? Even at that, that's not enough for people to go and try to make an opinion. They want to create an opinion now. They want to react now. They want to express their emotions right now. And that's a serious problem. And overall, I feel like with this whole situation with Cuties is that it definitely has proven us two major things. That number one, marketing can really make or break your project. And in this case over here, like all this really is because of Netflix's major screw up. This is all because Netflix took a really bad approach and did not think this one through, to the point that not only has it done damage to Netflix, but it really has done some serious damage to the director, to Maïmouna Doucouré. In fact, there are many people out there that have stated that right now, her career is pretty much dead because of Netflix. And it very much is unfortunate because this is not really her fault. She wanted to make a movie that expresses her experience in her youth and actually make a commentary of what people are saying is extremely bad. She wants to go and express herself that yes, this is also really bad and it could also corrupt someone at a very young age. Like, she wants to be on their side, and she created an art piece that would be on their side, and yet people don't see it. They don't see the evidence of it, and they want to make their judgments sooner than later. So that's why a lot of people are unfortunately stating right now that maybe her career is pretty much dead in the water. Now, there is a chance that maybe by the time the movie will be released, she will have a second chance, but still, like, I really do feel sorry for Doucouré, especially with the fact that, as you could probably imagine, she also has been receiving, like, numerous of death threats for this, which honestly, like, that's just taking it way too far. Honestly, in this case, you shouldn't even be doing that. And also, with that said, so, like, really, the only person that should be responsible for all this has to be Netflix, and it's Netflix alone. And reason number two, like, the second thing that we could learn from this is that it really does goes to show the problems with reactionary culture. It really shows the problem of why people need to go and react now instead of actually coming up with their own conclusions to find out what is the truth of all this. They don't want, like, the thing is that many people out there, they don't want to be, they don't want to know what the truth is. They want to be right about the situation, and they don't have time for it. Unfortunately, this reaction culture and social media has discouraged people to have any form of patience, to actually see the real amount of evidence that's out there, and they rather just want to go and be reactionary, and on top of that, they want to go and express the biggest reactions, because the biggest and most bombastic reactions are the ones that are also going to go and get the most they're going to get the most attention out of it. So really, it's just a battle of attention and speed as well. And it really has caused some major problems where a lot of people decided to go and jump to conclusions about literally a movie they have never seen. And that's what this whole Cuties controversy is about. It's people getting angry over a movie that they have not seen, that they have no proof of any of the things that they have said. Yes, they have like the marketing aspects of it, but that doesn't necessarily reflect on the whole movie itself. And unfortunately, it's all because of Netflix that it just really became this massive mess. Now, maybe Netflix, like, I know that technically Netflix did make an announcement that they are going to do some kind of change, that they will update the description of it, and they will provide a new poster for it as well instead of the offensive one that they put in. But really, it is a massive problem of this kind of reactionary culture, and why, with the reactionary culture, it really does play a factor into marketing, where now it really is kind of a make or break deal, that your movie will heavily depend if the marketing can do a good job to present it to audiences. Okay, so with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and now I would like to go and ask you guys, what are your thoughts on the whole Cuties controversy? Do you feel like it is overblown? Do you still feel like it is a movie that would go and promote pedophilia? Let me know what you all think about the whole situation. Alright, so let's see what we got here. Well, this is crazy. Well, I think this movie has an interesting idea, but I feel like Netflix did not do this on purpose because they didn't think this through. Am I the only one who has noticed that Netflix has been having bad luck with this and the Avatar creators leaving the live-action series? Although we have also gotten good news from this, like Lucifer Season 5, Part 1, and the announcements of a Troll Hunters movie. Yeah, I mean, you do have a point, and there have been times that they can be pretty hit and miss with many of their announcements nowadays, but this is one of the first major incidents where marketing coming from Netflix has really screwed things up for a movie. And especially for a foreign feature made by a black female director as well. So it really is a case that overall, this is just Netflix really dropping the ball on this one. Let's see. What else do we got here? What else? Here's a quick lesson to everyone that dislikes the trailer of Cuties. Do your research on any movie before commenting on it. I feel so sorry to the filmmakers that have to deal with the backlash they didn't deserve. It's hard for filmmakers trying to impact people, and we have typical white people like Jeremy and Geeks and Gamers that want to sabotage diversity and filmmakers. Yes, Geeks and Gamers. Well, Geeks plus Gamers. Yeah, the kind of YouTuber that it really does sound like the kind of YouTuber that doesn't know what they're talking about, doesn't do their research, and just, try to manufacture culture war just for the sake of getting attention. Anyways, it sickens me so much because I am an aspiring artist and a Mexican. Diversity is important for me and everyone. And probably continue the comment, but the Twitch kind of stopped it from there. But I do understand your anger. I do understand where you are coming from with this. And it's obvious that there are some people out there that that really, there are some people, unfortunately, like Geeks Plus Gamers, that will take something like this and they'll try to capitalize on the rage culture. Like that's also something that is very problematic when it comes to this current reaction culture, is that you are going to get those people that really want to try to put fuel to the fire, and they want to try to heavily capitalize on it. In fact, I believe there is a video, what you are talking about, where this Geeks and Gamers thing, where there is like this side element. Yeah, like this angry white guy, of course, probably just ranting about Tessa Thompson because she's black and the dude is most likely racist. Guessing from like the whole controversy and like how he approaches it, even like putting up a title that says Marvel's Tessa Thompson defends disgusting Netflix film Cuties. Yeah, and how much you want to bet this guy has never even seen the movie? So yeah, I think I'd much rather I'd rather take Tessa Thompson's word for it than this idiotic racist guy from Geeks and Gamers. So yeah, anyways, let's go and jump onto the next subject here. Oh god, I am getting flashbacks from when the Powerpuff Girls reboot had Blossom and Bubbles twerking in one of the episodes. Netflix has really screwed the marketing for what looks like a pretty great movie and has tainted the name of a brand new filmmaker. I hope that Netflix fixes the problem quickly, or else Chris Hansen is going to haunt them like a ghost. Yeah, they better fix it quickly, because right now, like, even the outrage is still accumulating, and like even the petition that I have right now, like the numbers are still growing. Like let's see if that has changed. Let's see. Oh god, already. Yep, it's still growing. It's already at 200 and 244,000 signatures. So yeah, it's still continuing. It's still growing from people who have not even seen the actual trailer or know what they're talking about. Let's see. What else do we got here? Ooh, excuse me. All right, there we go. Let's see. Okay, what the frick frack snick snack patty whack diddly dack crack pack slack back quarterback crackerjack billy biofeedback ducky quack back thumbtack knick knack nut shack ball sack tic tac rack Big Mac. We're Netflix thinking. Son of a fish, that was a mouthful. I am aware that Maïnouna Doucouré made a film to call out the over-sexualization of little girls, but I feel like Netflix just tainted or even ruined her career with this movie. But if you really want a good laugh from this, read Netflix's apology. Oh, yeah. You know, I don't know. I can't really confirm this, but I have heard, so take this with a grain of salt. I have heard that apparently the first response that Netflix has actually put out regarding like the accusations that people have made is like, is Netflix promoting pedophilia? Apparently the first thing Netflix said was, no comment. Which is the worst thing you could ever say. This is not a situation that you could say no comment on, dude. You gotta say no immediately. You can't just approach this and say, well, we don't have a comment right now. It's like, no, dude. Like I said, we live in a reactionary culture. If you're not gonna make a comment now, people will make a comment for you. So you better make a response ASAP. Okay, let's see, what else do we have over here? Do we have any other comments? Since I'm a 30-year-old girl, I'm a 30-year-old guy, if I were to watch this movie, would that make me a pedophile? In all seriousness, though, I think people are overreacting to this whole thing. You can't criticize something you haven't seen. Oh, but that's not going to stop people, though. That's not going to stop people trying to create a whole rage culture out of it and want to try to keep people angry just because people want to capitalize on their rage on the situation without actually knowing what the facts are. Oh boy, trust me. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to be a lesson that people will learn anytime soon. Let's see. I feel people, especially the parents, are overreacting about this film. How are you going to judge a movie that you haven't seen yet? Just like the other guy said, do your freaking research. There are literally people who came out saying that they enjoyed the film, as well as the director that the feature itself saying that the director herself saying that it speaks against sexualization of little girls. But hey, It doesn't matter. It's not out yet. And the only research that we can do is just the little things out there. You know, we only got the description. We only got this. We only got the trailer. And apparently that's enough for people to make a full-on conclusion. So really, if you have a problem with it, put it with Netflix. Not with the movie, not with the director, or anything like that. All right, I'm going to go and read one more comment before we're going to jump onto the next story here. Let's see. This is like Red Shoes and the Seven Dwarfs, in which people accuse the marketing of fat shaming when instead it promotes body positivity. And this could be the same thing with pedophilia. And you do bring up a very good point, and it is true, because that is also another example where the marketing can go heavily wrong, because I remember seeing that trailer years ago where, like, apparently they decided to go and make this trailer where a bunch of, like, little dwarves were checking out this hot girl, and then suddenly, like, there's like, some kind of spell, or no, she takes off her magical shoes, and then she becomes big, and you see the dwarf's reaction. They're like, oh my god! You know, pretty much saying the joke is like, you think it's a hot chick, huh? It's actually a fat chick! Yeah, and it is completely wrong. And I do understand the backlash on that. So again, like, one of the big lessons about all this is the fact that marketing can really kill your movie if they are not careful. Like, your movie can do a great job in itself, but if the marketers did not do a great job, then that can really kill off your movie, and it can cause some outrage, and it could cause some ridiculous reactions like you are seeing here. Oh boy, this thing is a whole mess, let me tell you. Okay, so now that we have settled the whole Cuties controversy, it is now time that we're going to jump onto the next story, and I do believe this one is probably the biggest animation news of the week, outside of, like, maybe the casting of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. But with this one, it's a very fascinating look into the human psyche. It really goes to show that sometimes there are people out there that they think that they're completely in the right, when everyone knows that they were completely in the wrong. And what I'm going to be talking about will be regarding Squidbillies. Specifically, the voice of early Kyler, Stuart Baker, who is also known as Unknown Hinson, is officially out of the show. Now, you might be wondering why. How is it that he's officially out of the series? Why is he completely gone and got kicked out? Well, the thing is with Squidbillies is that after 15 years of having the show on air and having Squidbillies be one of the longest running shows currently running on Adult Swim, it looks like the main voice of the series has officially been kicked out due to his social media posts regarding Dolly Parton and her support for Black Lives Matter. In fact, this week, the makers of Squidbillies, or the people behind Squidbillies, has put out an official statement saying, "We're aware of the extremely offensive and derogatory social media posts made late last week by Stuart D. Baker. The views he expressed do not reflect our own personal values or the values of the show that we and many others have worked hard to produce over the past 15 years. For those reasons, production of Squidbillies will continue without Mr. Baker, effective immediately." But you might be wondering in this case, what is it that Stuart Baker said? What is it that he said that ended up getting him kicked out of his show that he has been working on for 15 years? Well, I actually have found them, and it's a pretty fascinating story, and you could say that it is a story in 3 parts. Now, this actually started off with one post that Stuart Baker has done, in which he has commented regarding Dolly Parton and her support for Black Lives Matter, in which he states, "So, now this freak-titted old southern bimbo is a Black Lives Matter lover? Remember, slut, rednecks made you a millionaire. Well, Dolly, read this!" And put out an article from consequencesofsound.net, which it states, Dolly Parton backs Black Lives Matter. Do we think our little white asses are the only ones that matter? And then, following afterwards, the first response that you would expect coming from a post like this is that it would receive backlash. A lot of people were outraged. And apparently at first, Stuart Baker was relishing on the hate. He thought that he did a good thing, and that all he did was just trigger the liberals, and why many people decided to bail out on his social media posts and decided to bail out from him entirely, in which he made a second post over here in which it states, yeah, leave, liberals, unfriend me, please, because I don't want you un-Americans around. Have fun becoming an e-lawyer or something without a thought on your own where you bow down to the all-knowing minority. Have fun forsaking your own race, culture, and heritage. Have a nice time. And this dude, like, trust me, the dude was loving the anger that he caused. He loved the outrage that people have felt over his bigoted social media post. But as we all know, actions come with consequences, or I believe a better term for it would be your actions. Your actions have consequences. And it's not just his animated series that he lost. Literally, his whole career got destroyed. And this is kind of the conclusion where he made this post. It says here, and trust me, it's beautiful. Just check this out. Folks, I've been fired from my cartoon show, lost my endorsements, and my chance of ever being booked by any music venue as Unknown Henson again. I just hope you assholes are happy you took down a good man and talent down. You succeeded. Be proud that you ruined a person's life all because of that freak show called Dolly Parton and Black Lives Matter. Thanks a lot. I gave my best to you assholes for over 30 years. I guess you just love to kick someone when they're down. That's so twisted and perverted. Again, thanks. I'll remember you bastards. And trust me, this post, like, the ignorance of this, it's almost artistic, per se. Like, it's almost beautiful how ignorant this man is, not knowing the damage that he has caused, and still thinking that he did nothing wrong. Like, honestly, the only thing that is missing in all this, the only thing that he forgot to add into this is just stating that he's somehow a victim of cancel culture. That would be like the cherry on top to really make it the perfect ignorant comment, the perfect ignorant response from making a bigoted post like this. And honestly, looking at this, I can't help but feel like every single thing of this is just completely fascinating. And especially with Stuart Baker's response to all this. The fact that this guy would go as far and make an entirely bigoted comment filled with anger, filled with hate, and filled with racism and misogyny. And by the way, those are coming from the fact that racism, of course, is how he is heavily against Black Lives Matter, and misogyny as well, from his all-out attacks on Dolly Parton, basically calling her, and I quote, a freak-titted old southern bimbo. And yet, even with all that, the dude would still go and call himself a good man, and even double down on his comments towards Black Lives Matter and Dolly Parton, calling them a freak show. Like, he still unironically believes that he did nothing wrong on this. Why? How the fridge is that even possible? And I really wanted to go and try to analyze this kind of fascinating mentality. Because usually this would be the kind of mindset that a lot of people would look at this and just pass that off as thinking that people like Stuart Baker would be a complete idiot, that he would be psychotic, that he is delusional, that he has some kind of mental illness. A lot of people would just pass that off, that it's just that something is wrong with him, or that he's just an entire idiot. But no, I really want to go further into this. I want to go deeper into this rabbit hole. I want to see if I could try to go and understand a lot more about why is it that he would have this mentality, going on an all-out misogynistic and racist attack, and yet still calling himself a good man at the end of the day, even after losing everything, even after seeing his entire entertainment career just destroyed and shattered into pieces. And from there, after doing some research, I think I have found a bit of a conclusion. I have found 3 reasons as to why people like Stuart Baker, on top of the far right and Trump supporters, why they would have this kind of mentality. And by the way, before I would go and continue, I would like to go and make a massive statement. I would like to go and emphasize something, that this will not reflect on all Republicans, on all conservatives, and everyone in the right. That is not the statement that I'm trying to say, because I know that there are some Republicans and there are some conservatives that they are good people. They are loving and kind and caring people, and that they would not be like this at all. And there are some Republicans and some conservatives that would be completely against the statements that Stuart Baker has done. But what I'm going to be talking about, though, is going to be more towards the radical right. I mean, like, the ones who are really far right, that they love Donald Trump, like, as their cult leader. I mean, like, those kind of people, like, the farthest of the right that you can go and imagine. That's the kind of mentality I would like to go and analyze. And so, from there, let me get into the 3 reasons onto what I believe could be the cause of all this. Now, number 1, and this is a pretty integral one, it is because the far right believes, and actually, no, they don't believe, they have been taught by Republican conspiracy theorists and Republican politicians that they believe human rights is a matter of opinion. Now, we all know that having an opinion is perfectly fine. In fact, having an opinion is what makes us unique. And it doesn't matter if you would have an opinion that's with the majority, or if you are in the minority of a situation. That's how we would have our own identity. That's how we are just us. And it's what, and it's what defines our tastes, our passions, and our interests. However, when it comes to human rights, though, that is not necessarily something that should be a matter of opinion. We know that human rights are just human rights, that no 2 people should have more rights than the other. And yet, when it comes to the far right and when it comes to Trump supporters, they somehow believe that human rights towards anybody is all a matter of opinion. And they actually do believe that there could be some people that would have more rights than others, and they would try to go and separate them in groups, rather it be regarding their race, regarding their sexual orientation, regarding their gender, or even regarding their religion, or anything like that. There are some people out there who do unironically believe that, just in their matter of opinion, that men should have more rights than women, or that white people should have more rights than black people. And that really does stem from, like, the classic iconography of the average American family. And they would go, and you guys might know what I mean by the average American family. You know, like a white family with a mother and father and 2 little kids and a dog, in which they own a house with a white picket fence. And the man would always go at work, working hard and stuff like that, while the mother is a stay-at-home, and she always cooks a nice little meal in the kitchen. They always think that is the perfect iconography of what it means to be an American. And if you don't fit in that category, then you don't deserve to have as much rights as that specific category in there. And that's exactly why they think that they would like to just treat it as just a matter of opinion. That's why they don't really think of themselves as either like racist or sexist or anything like that. They legit believe that stating that, oh, I should have more rights than you is just an opinion that is no different than saying, oh, I think the new episode, the latest episode of SpongeBob is actually better than the last episode of SpongeBob. They think that what they're doing is completely harmless. They don't see the bigotry that is in there. And yet that is the full-on definition of bigotry. That's what it actually means. You know, that's what it means to be bigoted, is thinking that you should have more privileges or that you should actually have more rights than other people just based on those like minority groups alone, just on those like different sectors. And that's why, like, and that does explain, like, in the case of Stuart Baker, he doesn't see himself as sexist, he doesn't see himself as a woman-hating misogynist, and yet he would go in an all-out attack on Dolly Parton, calling her a freak-titted old Southern bimbo. And he doesn't see himself as racist, even though he is completely against Black Lives Matter and calling it un-American for some reason, and even calling that a freak show. He's just thinking that it's just his opinion. In fact, what's also interesting to note is that there are some Trump supporters out there that would go and actually defend Stuart Baker, and that's their only explanation, is the fact that they believe that he's just expressing his opinion. They think that's like his biggest, you know, they think that's his biggest crime. And whenever you would see people making these similar types of comments, like whether they be transphobic or anti-Semitic or stuff like that, they think it's just expressing their opinion. Why else do you think that these far-right people heavily lean into trying to say freedom of speech? Why do you think they always act like freedom of speech matters? Because they believe that their bigotry, and they think that human rights is nothing more but just a matter of opinion. And what's even more consequential, because they believe human rights is just a matter of opinion, that's also why they believe that there are other major social issues that they think is also a form of just opinion as well. Case in point, take a look at healthcare. You know how there's a lot of people who say that healthcare is a human right, and yet there are those far-right people that believe that it's not a human right because it's a matter of opinion. Like, they do legit believe that existing is more of a privilege, that it's more of a privilege that it's only towards the people who are the most successful. Like, the richer you are, the more privileges that you should have in order to have healthcare than poor people. And that's really why this kind of mentality really does mess up someone's mind. And this really does stem from like these far-right conspiracy theorists and from Republican politicians that want to keep on pushing this kind of ideology so that they could go and pass on to more laws that would be a lot more problematic towards minority groups like women and racial minorities like Black people and so much more. So there is that. Number two, the second reason is because these people believe that mean-spirited mannerisms is an acceptable personality trait. Now, you might have heard about some social media posts, or you might see some people that are often admired, but they are very mean people, that they would go and attack others, and yet are, like, well praised for it. And that is mainly because, and pardon my language, but honestly, the thing is, people think that being an asshole is an acceptable personality trait. And from there, they would also believe that being apologetic or trying to be respectful, they would go and view it as like weak traits. They would view it as like personality traits that are looked down upon, and it's not something that would be able to get you what you would go and want. So if you want, if you want to get what you want, if you want to assert your dominance, then you got to be the asshole. You got to show yourself as the stronger person in this situation. And that's not really the case, like, we live in a time where we should know better. We must be more respectful towards other people, but no. Like, again, going back to the first reason where people think human rights is just a matter of opinion, they don't care. They want to try to go and assert their dominance, and they will go and take down whoever they want just to put themselves on top. And there's not going to be anyone out there that will actually go and do something about it because they think it's a personality trait. They think it's a quirk. And from there, they think that because it's someone's personality, they can't really change that. They're like, oh, well, that's just because he's an asshole. Just let him be and move on. Like, they think, like, they legitimately believe that you reacting to someone's assholeness is, they think that's you, that the problem is you. They think the reaction to the assholeness is the problem than the actual assholeness itself. And the far right is definitely more susceptible to that because they are very much guilty into praising people who are unapologetic and who are mean-spirited and who act more like bullies. Case in point, why do you think there are so many people out there who adore Donald Trump? Why do you think that they keep on praising him and keep admiring him? And why they would go and, like, exaggerate their praises by saying that, oh, he's the greatest president of all time or whatever? It's because they do admire this mean-spirited bully nature. But then, you would have reason number 3. And this is going to be the biggest one of all. In fact, it kind of does combine the other two factors about the asshole personality and also human rights is a matter of opinion. What they hate the most. There is nothing more that a far right or a Trump supporter despises even more than a liberal who is happy. They hate anyone, or not even liberals, I would say. People who disagree with them. They want to be, because the thing is, they want things to go their way. There is nothing more that they want more in this earth than to have things go their way no matter what and have nothing bad happen to them whatsoever. And the only thing that would go and stand in their way is people that they disagree with. And generally, yes, it would be Democrats or liberals, but I mean, I'm not going to count out Republicans who don't share the exact same views with them. I would also put them onto that camp as well. And from there, that's when their goal is not that's their goal, is that they want to make sure that they would go and take them down. They want to try to go and assert their dominance. And from there, they are willing to do everything in order to take them down. Even, it doesn't matter if all the facts and the truth is completely on the left side. They don't care about it. They want to try to do everything they can to make them look bad, to try to take them down, to make them look like the weaker people and have them be the more dominant person in the argument. That's what they care more. That's what they care the most about. It's winning. It's not about figuring out the truth or doing the right thing. They just want to win no matter what. And that's why they would go and take their opinion. You know, they would take their opinions about human rights and they'll try to portray them as facts. Like, they think that they're literally right about everything and that their opponents are literally wrong about everything. And they would take their asshole personalities and they'll try to use that to make themselves look like the hero. Because the last thing that they want to do, the last thing that they ever want to go and admit is that they are wrong. There is nothing more humiliating for these people is to admit that the people that they disagree with are actually right about something. They don't want that. They want to do everything they can to avoid it. They would rather want to commit suicide before they would admit that a liberal is actually right about something. And that's the whole situation. That's where you would see what Stuart Baker is doing. Take all these three factors, combine them together, and this is exactly what you would get. The dude does not, this is why he still thinks that he's a good man. He doesn't view himself as either racist or misogynistic, despite the fact that his comment is absolutely racist and misogynistic for attacking Dolly Parton and calling her a freak-titted old southern bimbo because she supports black people. And on top of that, like, even though, like, he doesn't view himself because it's just, he thinks that his bigotry is nothing more but his opinion. And on top of that, he thinks that because people are disagreeing with him, like, he thinks the next step would be to be the asshole. And he thinks that, oh, let's go and make fun of liberals because he loves triggering liberals. So, of course, he'll present this asshole personality and thinks that he thinks that, oh, because he made them angry, he's the one that is more dominant and he'll be admired by his conservative fans. But in reality, it ended up losing everything. He ended up destroying his entire career, and yet he still pins the blame on Dolly Parton, on Black Lives Matter, and on everyone who has reacted towards him. And ironically enough, even though, like, in the last post, he was just loving all the hate that he got, suddenly he twists the narrative where suddenly he says, I guess you just love kicking someone when they're down. It didn't seem like you were down before, man. You looked high and mighty in your last post when you're telling liberals to leave. And yet now you're trying to make yourself look like you're the villain. That is just so twisted and perverted. Dude, you did that all to yourself. And it really goes to show this kind of mentality. Like, this is why the far right and Trump supporters make conservatism look like a mental disorder. I know that's completely wrong of me to say that, but honestly, looking at something like what Stuart Baker has said, there's no other way around it. And it really shows, like, this is honestly why subject matters like human rights should not be a political subject. It should not be a matter of opinion. Human rights should be a matter of fact. This is honestly something that everyone should know and everyone should accept and open their eyes to see that there is still a lot of injustice and there is still a lot of evil people that want to try to take others down because of either their gender, their sexual orientation, their religion, their race, or whatever, just to put themselves on top. So overall, honestly, with all this, human rights should not be a political issue. It should not be a Democratic issue. It should not be a Republican issue. Like, it really should be an issue that everyone should be aware about. And yes, like, really, I definitely am applauding for Dolly Parton and her efforts to support Black Lives Matter, because as the Southerners would say best, y'all means all. And so we got to do, like, even though the Black Lives Matter movement is not as prominent as it used to back earlier in the summer, this is still something that we should go and support more. But hopefully with this knowledge of this kind of mentality, it really goes to show that there is no point with arguing the far right. There is no point in arguing with Trump supporters. This is why, really, it is best to just block them, to just delete their comments or whatever, because they're not there to try to go and prove someone if they're right or wrong. They don't want to go and try to emphasize the facts or try to go and help come in to deliver a healthy conversation. All they want to do is try to assert their dominance over someone that they disagree with. And even though they'll think that they're a complete hero by doing it, like, they're the ones who are they're pretty much the ones left in the dust looking like a complete bigot. So hopefully this will be an important lesson to learn about the psyche of a Trump supporter and the far right, and why there is no point in arguing with these idiots. Okay, now with that said, sorry if this one went on for a little longer than usual, but I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to go and ask you all, what do you all think about the whole situation with Stuart Baker? Do you think that he deserved this treatment? Do you think he deserved to have his career be destroyed? Do you think Squidbillies did the right thing to kick him out? Well, let me know what you all think about this. Oh, and by the way, there is one more thing I would like to mention. Am I the only one that is shocked that Squidbillies is still on the air? Am I the only one that is shocked knowing that Squidbillies is still making more episodes to this day? I don't know. That's probably the one thing that I was surprised the most. Honestly, I remember when Squidbillies was fresh with Aqua Teen Hunger Force. I didn't expect Squidbillies to still continue on. Okay, let's see what we got here. I've never even heard of Squidbillies until today, but yeah, Baker is a major dick. I'm really glad Adult Swim is going out of their way to distance themselves from this prick. Maybe I'll check out a few episodes when Baker is given the boot, but for now, let me just say that people like Baker make me glad I'm going for Biden. Yeah, exactly. And just to give you a little bit, of a context, with the whole situation, like to give you not the whole situation, to give you some context with Squidbillies, basically it is the exact same kind of show that you would get on Adult Swim, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, except this one is more themed to hillbillies. So you got to enter in with that kind of mindset. It's basically an Adult Swim hillbilly show. Enter in with that logic and you'll understand everything. Okay, let's see what else do we got here. I know my views are definitely liberal and progressive, but I just want to say this from the on top of the mountains. I can be friends with a conservative. I just can't be friends with a bigot or supports a bigot. I just think that people who spends their time getting angry at everything they disagree with are the true snowflakes. These people are idiotic losers and are doomed to fall apart, but we have to work to make sure it happens. Vote for Biden and vote blue until the far right is dead. True words cannot be spoken, dude. Say it loud and proud, my boy. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have here? Yeah, I'll go with this one. I thank you for the call. I thank you for the call out rant, AniMat. I needed it. Before this stream, I just got into an argument with my mom on the whole J.K. Rowling crap, and she thinks I'm enforcing cancel culture or some dumb thing. I can't stand the cancel culture excuse and how brainwashed people can be for not caring about human rights and spreading misinformation after hearing the crap people say to Vivzy Pop. I can't stand the stupid people spreading misinformation. Yeah, exactly. And believe me when I say that when it comes to people who despise cancel culture, who think cancel culture is the problem, is the cause of all the world's problems, those people, they actually love cancel culture. People like J.K. Rowling or people like Stuart Baker, they actually love cancel culture. They want to use cancel culture as many times as they want. They just want to have full control of cancel culture so they can go and cancel whoever they want. They just don't want cancel culture to go after them. That is the big difference. Let's see now. But I'm glad that I'm glad that you actually feel some relief after this. Okay, so let's see. Racist white people being idiots that never want to change and doesn't handle any criticism at all almost feels like it is basically a regular occurrence nowadays, so this doesn't really surprise me. Also, you talk about how people somehow like people that are assholes to the point of being their entire personality. Reminds me of a certain YouTuber called Lily Orchard. Yeah, and that's not the only example. I mean, there are many YouTubers out there in which their asshole personality pretty much created their whole career. And I mean, going back to the whole conversation that we have with Cuties, with the whole reactionary culture, and how a lot of it is fueled by being not only the first, but in order to get a lot of attention, a lot of people do believe that if being an asshole works in order to get more attention, if being an asshole and reacting first instead of thinking later and waiting until all the facts would come in, then at that point, they're going to go and do it. They're going to fully embrace it as their personality. That's how social media can really corrupt someone's mind. Let's see now. What else do we got? It just proves how these kinds of people are just nothing but racist and that they are just horrible human beings. This also proves how these people believe that they can do whatever they want with no consequences whatsoever. This also kind of reminds me of what happened with Roseanne Barr was fired over her tweets when Harley Sawyer was fired from Harley Sawyer was fired from The Flash over his racist and misogynistic tweets surfaced. Yeah, trust me. Unfortunately, the reality of this situation is that this is not the first nor the last kind of news that we're going to hear about this. I'm sure there are going to be more people that will end up destroying their own lives because of making racist and misogynistic tweets and many more types of bigoted tweets, and they're still going to blame everyone else for it. All right, I'm going to go and read one more comment, by the way. Let's see. Good thing I didn't see this news, because all week I've been watching the Democratic National Convention, where they talk about improving the U.S. once they win the election, while officially nominating Joe Biden as the presidential Democratic nominee. Hearing this news right now for the first time makes me go out and say, wow, this guy's a lunatic. Although I've never seen Squidbillies before, but it is the right move for Adult Swim to fire him. Misogyny and racism has no place in this current area. And by the way, one more thing I want to say is that, honestly, I really am proud to have you guys as my fans. Like, really, like, after going through all this, it's, like, honestly, going through, like, this is a pretty tough and controversial subject to go and discuss. And I wouldn't be surprised if, when this is going to be up on YouTube, like, people will go and put out angry, ranting comments towards me and stuff like that. But honestly, with the kind of reactions that I'm getting right now with you guys, and being understanding with what I'm talking about and all this, honestly, it makes me feel proud having you guys as my fans and having as my viewers. And honestly, I couldn't ask for better people to have as an audience. I just need to go and say that. Okay, now, with all that said, I think it is time that we can now step back from any of the controversial stories, and we're gonna go and watch a couple of trailers. And with the first trailer that I have for you today, well, before I get into it, actually, I want to talk about a YouTube channel that I've been a fan of for a little while now, and you might have heard also, and this is regarding Defunctland. And if you guys have not seen it, it's a more theme park-centric YouTube channel, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Many people are even saying it's one of the best out there, especially with the types of videos that Kevin Perjurer would go and make, and just creating these beautiful history videos, really going in depth into different aspects of history in theme parks, especially with old attractions that no longer exist, or even some old TV shows that no longer exist, including making a whole documentary on the life of Jim Henson. And I would even go as far and say that, like, honestly, why the fridge is this even on television? Like, the kind of content that he makes, it should be on television or it should be in a streaming service. They are beautiful, and I highly recommend you would go and check them out. But with that said, though, you might recall, if you have watched his videos, then you might know one of his first viral videos, like one of the first ones to really get stupidly popular, is regarding Action Park, in which many people have deemed it to be one of, if not the most dangerous theme park in existence, where not only many injuries have occurred, but also many casualties has occurred. Like, a lot of people died because of the insane attractions that have been featured. However, it looks like nowadays, that little video Kevin Perjurer has made is now going to be an appetizer, because coming soon there is going to be something that will be much bigger, something that will go much more in depth into the madness that is Action Park. So with that said, let us now go and check out the trailer for the upcoming HBO Max documentary, Class Action Park. So let's go and check this one out.
There's nothing in the world like Action Park.
Baby, let me take you where the action is hot. Action Park.
The story of Action Park is a true crime story.
As you entered the park, you saw this thing, and you're like, this is real.
The engineering behind this, if there was any engineering, was just nuts.
Build it higher, make it faster. People control the action.
Combine that with liquor and anything goes.
There were no rules. For a lot of kids, that was heaven.
And if you couldn't swim well, yikes.
I don't think you can understand a place like Action Park if you don't understand the kind of minds that build it.
A lot of people wish they could ignore rules. Gene actually did that.
Nobody would give him insurance, so he created his own insurance company and then insured himself.
It did bring sometimes a criminal element.
I don't know how many people died at Action Park, but it wasn't just one person.
Electrocuted.
Decapitated.
Fractured vertebrae.
Impaled on the bowl. Had a heart attack. Nobody should ever be the second person to die in a wave pool. Close the wave pool.
The action never stops at Action Park.
And that is the trailer for Class Action Park, a feature-length documentary regarding what it says in the trailer, the world's most dangerous theme park, Action Park. And like I already said, I am a fan of Defunctland, and I have seen the video of his video on the history of Action Park. In fact, funny enough, I would like to go and mention, considering that I am watching this through HBO Max's YouTube channel, one of the first recommended videos that they put next to Class Action Park is actually the video that I was talking about, Defunctland's 17-minute video on the history of Action Park. And there is a part of me that feels like now I want to go and check that video out. But honestly, looking at this trailer with what they are presenting with Class Action Park, really, it really has that same effect as I had when watching the Defunctland video. It really is a fascinating and insane story about this really dangerous theme park. And I think the best way to describe Action Park with the way that they are presenting it right now, or with the way that they presented it in this trailer, is that they're pretty much presenting this like a real-life Pleasure Island. Like, you might remember Pleasure Island from Pinocchio, where the place where all the bad boys go to and just do whatever the fridge they want. Play pool, drink beer, smoke cigars, go into a place where they can just destroy things or just have a fight or whatever. It's pretty much like in a way, it is presented as like this kid's paradise where they could do whatever they want. However, even though they could do whatever they want, their actions also have consequences. And in the case of Action Park, there are some serious consequences. Even though there is that bold, the bold admiration, or no, a bold ambition to try to create something where a kid can go and do whatever they want with some crazy attractions in there, it did actually cause some legitimate deaths, including one where this guy mentioned that, in his own words, that nobody should be the second person to ever die in a wave pool. And that's just the wave pool itself. This is not even going through all the other insane attractions that they would have. Like, there's this one bungee jumping area that they presented. There was also like this waterfall area that they showed where like it's probably 2 to 3 stories tall, and you see a bunch of kids just jumping off of that cliff just to jump into the water. And then probably like one of the most famous things that Action Park had. Let me go and rewind that a little bit. Yes, the famous water slide loop-de-loop. Like, for some reason, I don't know if this even, I don't think this even worked, but there is a weird, crazy water slide that you can legitimately do this freaky loop-de-loop before coming out. Did it actually work? No. In fact, I think that's one of the attractions where someone legitimately died in. And this is just like, this is just a taste. Like, already, what this trailer did, like, this trailer actually does work. It does emphasize the insanity that Action Park had, including, like, the things that might have probably been illegal. Like, this park would have never existed under normal circumstances, and they even hinted about some criminal activity in order to maintain Action Park and in order to keep it alive, to present it as this real-life pleasure island on top of, like, yeah, I know it's bad to say that there would be some positives also to Action Park, but technically also presenting the ambitions of how they wanted to do this entire theme park, where basically a kid can pretty much go and do whatever they want and can experience whatever crazy attractions they wish in their own style. But, again, there's just some serious consequences that would go with it. And honestly, it really does make me feel very fascinated to go and check this out. Now, even though this is coming from HBO Max, unfortunately, I can't really go and watch it myself because HBO Max is not available in Canada, but I have heard there is a film festival that is going to be presenting it soon. A virtual film festival, by the way, so maybe I'll go and take the opportunity to go and check that out there. But overall, I will say this is actually a very effective trailer into really selling what it wants to present with Action Park. Is not only the ambition to create a theme park unlike any other, where a kid can control, like, basically to make like some kind of theme park where it truly does feel like it's a theme park for kids by kids, and that kids can have all the control they want to have fun in this insane theme park. But as it is a theme park that it is like for kids by kids and felt like it was made by kids, there are some severe consequences that do come with it. There are some casualties, there are some incidents, and there's even some criminal activity that is involved. Like, they really are presenting this not really as a documentary about a theme park, but really as this kind of criminal documentary about the insane crimes that would occur just to go and create this crazy theme park. And honestly, I'm legit excited to check this documentary out. I want to see like what more there is to it. In fact, what I want to do, I don't know if this would end up spoiling this documentary for me, but honestly, I feel like I want to do both, actually. I want to start things off by doing a little appetizer of checking out the Defunctland video, of checking out the insanity of Action Park, watch that video first, and then check out Class Action Park to really go into detail about what actually happened within Action Park, and probably interviewing people that were legitimately involved with the attraction, or people who have actually been in Action Park. So honestly, for me, I feel very excited for this. So yeah, this seems like a pretty cool documentary. And if you guys are excited to go and check out not HBO Max, if you guys are excited to check out Class Action Park, it is actually going to be premiering very soon on HBO Max, where it will be on August 27th that you'll be able to go and check this documentary out. Okay, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and it's time that I would like to ask you all, what do you think about about this trailer? What do you think about Class Action Park? Is this a documentary that you guys would like to go and check out? Is it a bit too much for you, and maybe you just want to stick with the Defunctland video? Let me know what you all think about this. Alright, let's see now. Okay. So, let's see what we have here. I love Defunctland, and I'm happy that theme park history is becoming more and more mainstream. I'm ready to check this out when it comes out, and I'm glad this place is closed. The water slide with the loop and the rafts where you fly high in a scary way always gives me an anxiety attack. Yeah, like, it's not necessarily that great of an idea to turn a water slide into a roller coaster, because considering it's not an area where you're able to have like any handlebars, or like the safety is more questionable than an actual roller coaster, maybe it's not a great idea to put in, you know, it's not a great idea where you want to have your little loop-de-loop. Let's see, what do we have here? I'm very excited for this documentary. This trailer does a great job presenting how Action Park was a popular park, and also how it went down in history as a park that caused many deaths. Also, Matt, since you're a big fan of Defunctland, what's your favorite episode? Mine is the Nickelodeon Hotel video. Ooh, boy, that's a very good question, honestly. I've never really thought a lot about it. Oh, actually, you know what? if I would have an answer to it, I think my favorite episode, I would say for now, like maybe I could be wrong, I would need to fully think of it, but initially I would say my favorite one would be the two-parter about Disneyland Paris, or the two-parter about Euro Disneyland, where the first one you see like how Euro Disneyland started out as a disaster, and then the second part where they went into their version of Epcot. I think those ones were just absolutely beautiful, and a perfect conclusion to season 2 of Defunctland, like really highlighting the legacy of Michael Eisner and the ups and downs of his career. So I would definitely go with, for now, I would go with that one. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'll give it a watch because I enjoy the Defunctland video of it. Also, oh, okay, well, what's your favorite Defunctland episode? I just answered that. I'll say it right now. This park looked absolutely insane. With all the stuff going down there, from the back injuries to the cannonball loop, to full-on decapitation, this sounds like something I can't turn a blind eye to. I'll definitely check it out at this virtual film festival. Besides, I need to watch an interesting movie about a crazy theme park after Wonder Park. Well, by the way, just to give you guys a little bit of a mention, the virtual theme park that I am talking about, I could be wrong on this, but it is actually the Montreal Fantasia Film Festival. And I believe they do have Class Action Park as part of their lineup. I would have to go and double check on that. I don't know, maybe by the time you're listening to this or watching this, it's probably too late. But, yeah, I would, honestly, this is something that I would be very interested to see, to really go in depth into Action Park. Let's see, what else do we have here? This looks interesting. This will bring a lot of trivia so what I can tell my friends and family. Plus, I love the retro aesthetics and found footage of the trailer. Well, yeah, this is, of course, a lot of it is to emphasize the 80s. Of course, they will try to make the aesthetics really emphasize the time, since, like, it's all in the 80s. And, that's another great thing that this trailer has done, is really emphasize the 80s of it all, especially really taking advantage of the commercials with how campy and how dated they could be, like full on embracing that, and then like showing also the dark side of it. It's like, in order to counter the dark side of Action Park, they would use those dated campy commercials to present the light side of Action Park along with its 80s aesthetic. So that's a point to the commercial right over here. Alright, I think I'll go and read one more comment before we jump into the next one. Wow, Action Park sounds like something that would be like in a horror movie. Also, a fun fact about the Cannonball Loop is that test dummies were sent down before it was completed, and some of them have been dismembered and decapitated. Yep, and even at that, they're like, good enough. Yeah, we could bring them in. Yeah, why not? Let's just see what happens. I mean, they're just dummies. They're not like real people. Yeah, come on, let's see what happens. Oh, yeah. But by the way, I don't know if this is true or not, but I have heard something. I have heard somewhere. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Johnny Knoxville, the Jackass guy, he actually made a movie that is based on Action Park called Action Point. So you could definitely tell the kind of impact that Action Park has on our culture and how it is growing its reputation as this insane theme park. Alright, so after all this madness, it is now time that we will go into the grand finale. This is the one to end things all off, and I think after like all the insanity and after all the controversies and stuff like that, I think it is time we can go and settle down with a nice little trailer for a nice little animated series. And honestly, it has been so long since I've heard about these characters, I think it's time for them to go and make a little bit of a comeback. So with that said, let us now go and check out the trailer for the upcoming animated series, Madagascar, A Little Wild. So let's go and check this out.
Places, everybody!
Before Madagascar, the zoo crew you love
That's right.
was looking for adventure.
Let's have some serious fun.
We'll be back at the zoo before the sun goes down.
Let's do this.
What? You still haven't washed. To the travel tunnels we go!
Join your favorite friends, Alex, Gloria, Melman, and Marty. As they discover life on the outside.
Together, we can do anything. I want that horsey.
What? No, I'm not a horse. Ow.
Guess I should have seen that coming.
Madagascar, A Little Wild, September 7th on Hulu.
And that was Madagascar, A Little Wild, which, as like the narrator stated, it is going to be coming soon on Hulu, and I also believe it will be released on Comcast or NBC Universal's streaming service, Peacock, as well. And before I give my thoughts onto this one, I just would like to go and make a statement right now that I am a big fan of Madagascar, a longtime fan of Madagascar. I think I've enjoyed it ever since the first movie was released back in 2005. And honestly, even though it is a pretty popular movie, even though technically it is one of DreamWorks' one of DreamWorks' biggest franchise out there, like next to Shrek, Kung Fu Panda, and How to Train Your Dragon, there is a part of me that does feel like the first movie is kind of underappreciated in a way. Not only is it extremely funny, not only is it able to go and deliver some great laughs and even a little bit of heart as well with the friendship of the main four animals together, but also regarding its animation, you could argue that it's actually ahead of its time. Like, long before cartoony style animation became mainstream, like long before companies like Sony Animation, Illumination, or Blue Sky would go and really emphasize on making like a cartoony style for their movies, Madagascar was the first one to come in and decided to try out a bit more of a cartoonier aesthetic onto their animation, make it a little bit more abstract, make it a little bit, make it a little bit more silly, and emphasizing more on the squash and stretch. And even though technically you could argue that the use of it is a lot more subtle than some of the other movies that we would get nowadays, like I said before, it really is the type of film that is ahead of its time. And not to mention that a lot, like, even it is also a fun and very well written movie. And maybe you could say I'm kind of in the minority on this, but I do feel like the first movie would be the best one. The second one was all right, and then the third one, I already reviewed it. I've already reviewed it, but I do feel like it is kind of like the weakest of the three. And then, of course, like, you would have the addition of Penguins in Madagascar, but that's just like a random side dish that, honestly, it did more harm to DreamWorks than it did good. And this is not to knock against the movie, but it was one of the biggest box office bombs that DreamWorks unfortunately had to face. And it was during the same year that they had another major box office bomb with Peabody and Sherman, so it really did not do any favors. So yeah, basically this is just to emphasize that, honestly, I am a major fan of Madagascar. So with that said, you would think that I would be pretty excited to check this series out, that now we're seeing another new Madagascar series, but this time emphasizing the main four characters instead of like the other spin-off characters or just the funny side characters, like instead of just having a little series with the little penguins or with King Julian. In this case, honestly, not really, nah. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like it's something that's made for me. In fact, I don't really see much that is legitimately Madagascar. I mean, technically, the setting and the visual aesthetic, yeah, you could see that there is some Madagascar to it. You could see some of that in there. But for the most part, for me, I just feel like this is just, once again, another series in which they take popular cartoon characters and just turn them into kids, because apparently that trend has decided to go and make another comeback. Because we all know that back in the 80s and in the early 1990s, that there was that huge boom, like, I guess you could say a cartoon baby boom, because of stuff like you would have like Muppet Babies, and then Hanna-Barbera really trying to capitalize that with stuff like Flintstones Kids or Tom and Jerry Kids or Yo-Yogi and stuff like that. But then nowadays, like, it feels like ever since the Muppet Babies reboot, now we're seeing that happen all over again, where you would have Baby Yoda. Technically, I know that in The Mandalorian, he is referred to as the child, but everybody calls him Baby Yoda anyways. And then, of course, like, you would have some other examples. I can't really think on top of my head. Maybe you can think some. If you know any recent examples, okay, yeah, like a pup named Scooby-Doo is also another one from back then. Yeah, and then there's a Baby Nut as well. And then coming soon, like, we would have Camp Coral happening. And then Sonic the Hedgehog, considering that at the start of the movie we see Sonic as a kid. And then we would have this right now, where we take Madagascar and just turn them into kids. And that's what it feels like. For me, this is not really Madagascar per se. This just feels like another show where you would take cartoon characters and you would turn them into kids. In fact, honestly, I kind of see a bit more of Rugrats in this, more so than really Madagascar, because technically the whole point of it is about these little kids going on big adventures. That's like kind of the thing that they want to go and emphasize, where in this case we got Alex, Marty, Gloria, and Melman, where they're a part of the crew of the New York City Zoo, and sometimes they would find a way to just get out of their zoo area and just go around New York City. You know, a little bit like what happened in the first movie. But I don't know, looking at this, it just doesn't feel like Madagascar. Again, it's more like Rugrats and more of your typical kind of kid show that would be more in line to just, just like these little kids' big adventure style stories. And yeah, like there is a bit of an animal theme to it, but I don't know, there's just nothing about it that really does stand out. There's nothing about it that I feel like it really is unique, except for the fact that, oh, it's Madagascar themed. That's it. It's just the soul doesn't feel as different as the souls of any other show that would star a bunch of little kids going on big adventures and taking popular characters that we all know and love and just shrink them down into kids. And one more thing that I do want to emphasize, though, like, with all that said, yeah, I know that I do sound pretty harsh, and, I'm just framing this as, like, kind of a generic animated kids series, but keep in mind, this is just from my perspective. Like, this is just from me, who is a Madagascar fan and a long-time animation fan as well. Like, for me, I don't really see anything much that is special, but I won't deny that maybe in the future this could turn out to be good. Maybe this could actually be something that kids will enjoy. And I think that really is the big thing about this, is that maybe I'm not the audience for this. It's more for the kids. It's more for the kids who are fans of the Madagascar movies, and or maybe for kids who want to be introduced to Madagascar. Like, this is a way to introduce Madagascar to a brand new generation, so that they could go and start out with A Little Wild, and then they would eventually grow into watching the Madagascar movies, where now they are familiar with all the characters and they can go and watch them when the characters are adults and stuff like that, and the bigger adventures that they would go to when going into Madagascar, and then suddenly finding themselves into Africa, and then suddenly they would be in Europe, where they would join a traveling circus group. So there is also, yeah, like, in that regard, okay, that I can understand, that I can respect, and maybe you could actually go and work that way. And by the way, there is one more thing that I would like to comment, though. It's actually regarding the animation, and I will give it credit. The animation, honestly, I find it to be great. It actually really does look good, especially for an animated series. It really does look nice, and it actually does stay true to the style of the characters. You know, this is exactly like how the characters were in the in the animated movies when they were kids. There was actually a moment where you do see Alex, Marty, Melman, and Gloria when they were kids. I believe it was, I think it was in the second film, I believe. Like, you do see in the second film where Alex, you know, he was originally in the jungle, but then suddenly he finds himself in the New York City Zoo, and that's where he would go and first meet characters like Marty, Gloria, and Melman. And they look exactly like that. But one thing that I will admit, though, is that I don't know about you, but I do feel like the design of the kids, they do kind of freak me out a bit. And I think it's mainly because of their eyes. Like, I don't know, they got these giant eyes for some reason. And especially, like, the black parts of their eyes are just so ridiculously huge. Now, I understand, like, I get it that technically they're supposed to be kids, you know, they're supposed to be cute little kids, and it's supposed to emphasize on the cute factor, and in order to fully differentiate them from their adult versions, they would try to go and make their eyes bigger. But I don't know, it's just like the giant eyes, and especially the giant eyes, and especially the addition of irises, which I've never been a fan of. If you're going for a cartoony style, you don't need freaking irises. That is way too much detail. That kind of makes it that kind of makes the character a bit too uncanny. I don't know. It's just the eyes that I feel like are a bit problematic, and often they can be a little freaky to look at, especially like with Gloria in certain shots. Like, I get what they're trying to do, but it's not... It doesn't work as well as probably that they would hope for. But then again, they are limited to what they have to work with what's already established in the movie. So I can't really fault them for that. So overall, I would say that when it comes to A Little Wild, maybe it's not necessarily my cup of tea, but I could definitely see how there can be some fanfare. And I could see that, you know, maybe this can work, and this could actually this could introduce Madagascar to a new generation, or it could even be something that could be pleasing for already established Madagascar fans, especially for kids. So yeah, I think that's really the big thing about it, is that honestly, it's not for me, but I do notice that it definitely is for kids, and in a way, I could respect that. Alright, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall, and I want to know your thoughts, actually. What do you all think about Madagascar A Little Wild? Is this a series that you guys would like to go and check out? Are you interested in this? Are you a Madagascar fan who would love to check this out, or are you not all that interested? Let me know what you all think. Okay, so, let's see what we have here. Who was asking for this? I just feel this was unnecessary, and I believe this trend has overstayed its welcome. And in my opinion, we got too many Madagascar series, at least with stuff like Penguins of Madagascar and All Hail King Julian, they were warranted. Penguins of Madagascar worked well as a show that followed the adventures of penguins, while All Hail King Julian worked well as a prequel series. Both of those shows I enjoyed, but I'm not that interested in this one. Yeah, I can see where you're going with this. I can see from your perspective of like milking this whole thing. And yeah, in a way it is true that you could see how those spin-off series have managed to work well, mainly because of the fact that it is seeing more of the characters that you love from the movies, but now like emphasize on having their own adventures. Like, a lot of people really love the penguins in the Madagascar film, so they ended up having their own show, and to a certain extent their own movie as well. And a lot of people really loved King Julian, so that's how he ended up having his own animated series on top of that. It worked well because we got more of the familiarity of the characters we already know and love. This one, however, I can see from your perspective how it wouldn't work, because technically these are the main characters, but just as kids. We're not necessarily getting the same characters we all know and love. Maybe we'll get a little bit, but the bigger picture is that they are kids. And in the movies, they're not. So that's how I could see that there could be a bit of a disconnect, at least with Madagascar fans. Now, let's see. Can we just acknowledge how terrible the security in this zoo is if these animals can escape so easily? That is a good point. And I mean, like, it looks like it could be something that can happen in, like, every freaking episode. So, like, maybe it is a case that the New York City security, the New York City zoo security, like, is either non-existent or they're just really bad at their jobs. Anyways, in all seriousness, though, I think this looks cute. I'll probably end up checking it out on Peacock when it comes out, because I do appreciate when shows are a little more laid back and don't feature the characters going on some epic adventure. I do admire the simplicity, and that's also one of the reasons why I like the Boss Baby series. Okay, that's nice. I can understand that as well. Like, it does, yeah. I mean, like, it's that is true, because that's why I do feel like there is more of a Rugrats vibe to this than something like Madagascar, because for these characters the adventures are big, but but then again, it could be viewed as a bit of like a slice of life kind of thing, where it's more relatable to kids, where they can go on the same kind of adventures that they are going with as well, like to really make it relatable to kids. Let's see, what else do we have here? What else do we have to say? I will not be checking out Madagascar a little while, because the trailer wasn't appealing to me. I think it's just trying to be like a regular kids series like Muppet Babies, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, and many more. The animation looks cheap, and the series is 8 years too late since the last Madagascar film, not counting the Penguins movie, was released. Since you like the animation so far in the teaser, how would you compare it to the animation of Trolls World Tour? Okay, well, I mean, like, this is an anime. Okay, like, I don't think it's fair to call this animation cheap, because keep in mind, this is a series. This is a TV show. You can't expect it to have it, like, be the same standards as a feature film. And honestly, as an animated series, I think the animation looks great, actually. You know, like, to have this, to have an animated show with this kind of animation, honestly, like, I don't know about you, but I think it looks great. I think it looks legit. So honestly, that would have to be something that I would have to disagree with. And comparing it to Trolls World Tour, that is honestly an unfair comparison. That would be like comparing apples to oranges. So I don't think I would go into that extent for that kind of comparison. Let's see now. The trailer itself isn't appealing to me. I like the first two films, but only saw 3 once. But this series, I'm not interested in trying to copy other series like Baby Looney Tunes, Rugrats, and other shows that have characters turned into kids. Overall, I'll skip this and rather have 4 films, which was planned for a while before the whole layoffs and flops happened. Oh, the 4th film. Oh, yeah, that is true. They wanted to do a 4th Madagascar film. Yeah, that was unfortunate, honestly. I probably would have been honestly, I would have been down for a 4th Madagascar film, but then again, not really, because I do feel like the 3rd film really did conclude this series very well. I feel like, I don't know if we need a 4th film, since I do feel like there is an overall conclusion with the whole Madagascar franchise with the 3rd film. Let's see, what else do we have? I'm giving it a pass since the show is made for little kids anyway, so I can't complain. As for my thoughts on the movies, and my opinion is a bit different, because I thought the first movie was okay, while the sequels were better, with the 3rd being the best one to me. The Penguins spin-off, both the movie and the TV series on Nickelodeon, were good too. The series I know will be made for kids, so I can't complain, but giving it a pass though, overall I thought it was meh. Oh, really? Like, honestly, I can't fault for you, because I think I might be in the minority, and you might have the general thoughts on that. I've heard a lot of people say that the 3rd one is the best, and that they're not a fan of the 1st. But I don't know. I'm kind of like the opposite. I think like they started great with the 1st, and then it kind of like slowly declined. Not like greatly declined. The 3rd one was okay, but Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they peaked at the first for me. Let's see now. Maybe this one. I'll go with this comment. Me too. Hey, AniMat, what's your favorite character from the Madagascar franchise? Honestly, I don't like the direction DreamWorks has taken with the Madagascar franchise for babyfying the main characters. Favorite character? Ooh, I think in the Madagascar films overall, I think I'd probably go with King Julian. I think my favorite would be either King Julian or the Penguins. Or an asterisk, more King Julian. I think I gotta go with my man. I got to go with my man, King Julian. All the girls in the dance club, come on. We need to... Oh, fudge, did I just accidentally hit my microphone. I hope it doesn't pick up. I do apologize for that, everybody. Now we can go and actually get into the conclusion of this. Alright, so with that said, people, yes, I will conclude this as King Julian, but yes, it is now time we shall conclude AniMat's crazy cartoon cast, and I just want to say thank you all my lovely people for watching and listening to this episode, and maybe next time we'll get a little bit more news. Hopefully, I hope Maurice will go and actually do his job for once instead of giving me nothing. But with that said, of course, thank you so much for watching and listening again. And until next time, see you later, everybody. I like to move it.